And, I've broken some rules to make this.
Okay, was the Titan always doomed to fail? Well, it was uncertified, unregulated, uninspected, heavily modded, so probably, yeah. OceanGate's deep-sea submarine Titan imploded under extreme deep-sea pressures, killing all 5 on board instantaneously. They were Stockton Rush, CEO of OceanGate and pilot of the vessel, Pakistani investor Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman, French diver Paul-Henri Nargeolet, and British billionaire and explorer Hamish Harding. Each paid $250,000 for the privilege of riding in this sub deep down far below to check out the wreckage of the Titanic, which infamously sank 111 years ago, about 700 miles off the coast of the US. Interesting fact, the wife of Stockton Rush is the descendant of 2 people who were on board the Titanic and died when it sank. Anyway, Titan set sail on the 18th of June and then went missing. An extensive search was made and they finally found debris days later, which confirmed that the sub more than likely had imploded and everyone on board had died as a result. Now, this vessel has made 3 trips down to the Titanic wreckage before, and it supposedly handled the immense pressures of diving down that deep in the ocean, around 12,500 feet, which is about 2.5 miles. But maybe this is why it was living on borrowed time. In 2018, more than 3 dozen deep ocean experts wrote a letter to Rush, expressing concern about the experimental nature of the submarine and the planned Titanic expeditions. The chair of the Marine Technology Society said that out of the 10 vessels in the world that can go that deep, OceanGate's Titan was the only one not certified. The company responded by pointing out that the submarine is so innovative that it could take years before it could be inspected by normal inspection bodies. So they didn't get it done. But even one of its own employees criticized the lack of safety. Former Director of Operations David Lockridge wrote a report saying that it was possibly dangerous at reaching extreme depths. It also said the submarine's viewing window, which allowed passengers to look outside, was only rated for a depth of 4,000 feet. Remember, the Titanic wreck is 12,500 feet deep. Rush even confirmed in an online video that the window was made out of acrylic.
It's acrylic, plexiglass.
Wow.
Yeah, and it is 7 inches thick. And when we go to the Titanic, it will squeeze in about 3/4 of an inch.
The company responded to this by suing Lockridge for sharing confidential information, and the lawsuit was later settled. This wasn't the only worrying bit about the vessel. It had no onboard navigation system, so it depended on the ship above to text them to let them know where they were going. The hull was made out of carbon fiber and not the industry standard titanium, which is more expensive, yeah, but it's also a lot more durable, and the vessel itself was tube-shaped, not spherical, so the pressure was distributed unequally, making it more susceptible to breaking. But how did OceanGate get away with all of this? Well, Titan was deployed and dove in international waters where there is no law, so there was no legal need to adhere to US Coast Guard regulations. Now, since the discovery of the remains, tributes have poured in for the deceased, but some on the internet have been a bit more critical. Clips of Stockton Rush talking openly about the crude nature of the Titan build have spread.
We can use these off-the-shelf components.
I got these from Camper World. We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on!
Some have been pointing out how such an extensive search for this submarine wouldn't necessarily happen for a capsized vessel full of migrants. And the equipment has also been panned, specifically a 13-year-old Logitech Bluetooth gaming controller which was used to control the sub. Now, this is nothing new. The US Navy uses an Xbox controller to control its submarine's periscopes. But trolls have filled the review section with dark jokes, and Amazon is currently moderating the comments and trying to get rid of these. But is this the end of OceanGate Gate? Probably not. Investigations are underway to see how and why the vessel failed. Stockton Rush insisted multiple times that the vessel was safe, but results from the investigation might prove otherwise. But also, lawsuits from the families of the deceased may also crop up. Now, yes, they would have had to sign liability waivers, where specifically it said that the person signing acknowledges that they're boarding an experimental
Submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. Where do I sign?
But a signed waiver doesn't necessarily mean that a company cannot be sued, as a judge could decide that a company is still liable, and it may not help that the sub wasn't certified. After the remains were found, OceanGate released a statement saying, "Our hearts are with these 5 souls and every member of their families during this tragic time." But aside from condolences, they haven't spoken about the state of the vessel at all since the implosion. So let's see what happens next. Whatever does, probably will send waves across the world, just as the last 4 days have.